Hey guys, welcome back to Mindtales Sleep Stories. I'm really glad you're here tonight. Truly. Whether you've had a long day, a strange day, a productive day, or one of those days where time feels like a slightly confused jellyfish, you made it. You're here. And this little moment right now is just for you. Tonight's story is soft, slow, and a little whimsical. It's about patience, peace, and a tiny creature with a surprisingly enormous dream. A snail, yes, a snail, who looks up at the night sky and decides that one day, somehow, somewhere, he wants to touch the stars. Not metaphorically. He genuinely believes that if he keeps moving forward, even at the pace of a contemplative teabag, he'll eventually reach the place where sky meets space. And honestly, there's something comforting about that kind of gentle optimism. Because maybe you've had moments where your goals felt far away. Moments where you wondered if you were moving too slowly, or if everyone else was racing ahead while you were simply doing your best to show up. But this story, the snail's story, is a reminder that slow does not mean stuck, and small does not mean insignificant. And the path ahead doesn't have to be rushed for it to matter. Tonight, you're invited to slow down with him, to walk or slide at his pace, to breathe a little deeper, to let your thoughts stretch out like a warm blanket, to settle into stillness, bit by bit, breath by breath. Before we begin, I want to gently remind you, you can like, subscribe, or comment, but only if you really feel like it. No pressure, no expectations. This space is meant to be light, calming, and free of any sense of urgency. So, if you can, dim the lights a little. Get cozy wherever you are. Maybe under a blanket, maybe on your side, maybe with one foot sticking out just for thermostat balance. Let your shoulders drop just an inch. Let your jaw soften. You'd be surprised how often it tries to win a secret tension contest during the day. Take a slow breath in and a gentle breath out. Good. Now imagine the world turning just a little quieter. Imagine the day stepping into the background like a character exiting a stage. Imagine your thoughts loosening their grip, like the knots on a rope gently unwinding. In this calm, the story begins. It begins in a meadow that looks like it was designed by someone who absolutely loves watercolor painting. A place where everything has a soft edge, where mornings taste like dew, and where evenings shimmer slightly with lavender light. A place that exists somewhere between the real world and a dream. The perfect place for bedtime stories. Here lives a snail named Orin, small, patient, thoughtful. A gentle creature with a spiral shell that glows faintly in the moonlight, the way seashells sometimes glow when you hold them against the sun. Most snails don't think much about the sky. They think about leaves, soil, weather, moisture levels, important things. But Orin has a habit of looking up, especially at night, especially when the stars gather like polished grains of sugar spilled across black velvet. And every night, he whispers to himself, not to impress anyone, not to be dramatic, but simply because the thought feels true. One day, I want to touch the stars. Everyone else thinks it's impossible, not because they're mean, but because they're realistic meadow citizens who understand the concept of gravity. But Orin doesn't mind. He isn't rushing. He's not trying to reach them tonight, or tomorrow, or even next year. He simply believes that if he keeps moving, however slowly, the destination will meet him halfway. This is where your journey and his intertwine. So settle in. Let the story guide you. Let your breath soften. Let the night open gently around you. And now, Let's begin walking beside Orin as he takes his very first patient step toward the stars. You find yourself in Orin's meadow, not as a giant or as a human, but at the perfect scale to walk beside him. You don't have a shell, thankfully, because carrying real estate on your back would make even grocery shopping emotionally complicated. But you move with the same gentle rhythm he does. Slow, deliberate, calm. The air is cool, the kind that feels refreshing without being rude. The grass rises over you like soft green pillars, bending ever so slightly beneath the weight of the night. Every blade glimmers with tiny droplets of water, each one holding a distorted reflection of the moon, like a miniature universe. Orin looks up at you. Snails aren't known for expressive faces, but somehow his feels warm, grateful, content. He gives a tiny nod, the kind that says, "Thank you for being here. We go together." He begins sliding forward, his trail catching a faint shimmer from the moonlight. You follow, feeling the soft earth beneath your feet, the way it gives just a little, like memory foam made by nature. Above you, the sky stretches wide and endless. Clusters of stars blink comfortably, not in a hurry to dazzle. Just existing, like old friends keeping watch. The Milky Way drapes itself across the darkness, like a luminous river you could almost dip your hand into. And here's something interesting. At this scale, the sounds of the meadow become magnified. The rustle of a beetle sounds like someone adjusting a heavy coat. The flutter of moth wings becomes a gentle whisper. Even the distant croak of a frog feels like a slow drum beat guiding your steps. Orin moves quietly, thoughtfully. He stops occasionally to admire things most people overlook. A pebble shaped like a teardrop. A blade of grass curling at the tip like a question mark. A tiny mushroom glowing faintly blue, as if it misplaced its bioluminescence instructions. You notice something too. Walking at this pace feels good, unhurried, intentional, like your mind finally gets a chance to breathe. At one point, Orin pauses beside a puddle reflecting the stars above. He leans in, gazing at the sky mirrored on the water's surface. To him, it feels closer, almost within reach. He says softly, "Maybe this is how the stars talk to us, in reflections." You look at your own reflection beside his. Your outline wavers gently on the surface, blending with the glimmer of distant galaxies. And in that moment, something inside you quiets. A thought you didn't know you were holding loosens its grip. Orin continues onward. His shell glows a little brighter as he moves, not from magic, but from the moonlight bouncing off its smooth spiral. Still, it gives him a kind of quiet determination, like a lantern traveling slowly through the night. You walk beside him, matching his patient pace. You feel your body settling, your breath deepening, your mind easing into stillness, like a boat drifting into calm water. Eventually, you reach the edge of the meadow, a place Orin has never crossed before. To him, this feels enormous, a boundary, a horizon. And yet, he doesn't hesitate. He looks at the path ahead, a gentle slope leading into a new landscape, and says, in his soft snail voice, "If the stars are everywhere, then every direction must lead closer." You smile. He's right. Together you cross the first threshold of his journey. Not fast, not dramatic, not cinematic. Simply, peacefully, with intention. Above you the stars watch quietly, patient as always. The moment you step beyond the meadow's edge, the world shifts. Not suddenly, not dramatically, but in the gentle way twilight deepens into night. The air becomes warmer, carrying the faint scent of clover and something that reminds you of vanilla and rain. Ahead stretches a wide, open field that glows softly as if someone sprinkled faint golden dust across it. At first, you think it's moonlight, but then the lights blink, one by one. Tiny, soft, glowing freckles in the darkness. Fireflies, hundreds of them, maybe thousands, floating, drifting, weaving in slow spirals like sleepy stars that took a wrong turn and descended to earth. Orin stops entirely, stunned by the sight. His little eyes stretch upward, mesmerized. For a moment, he forgets to breathe. If snails technically breathe in a way that can be forgotten. They look like pieces of the sky, he whispers. And he's right. The fireflies blink lazily, as though they're in no hurry to shine. Their glow rises and falls like a steady breath. You feel your own chest echo their rhythm, syncing with this natural lullaby of light. You take a step into the field. The grass brushes against your ankles like soft feathers dipped in dew. The fireflies drift closer, hovering around you and Orin with curious, unhurried motion. One lands gently on Orin's shell, lighting it up from the inside like a tiny lantern. Orin freezes. "Am I glowing?" he asks. You nod. His shell pulses gently with golden light. He looks thrilled, not in an excited, bouncy way, but in a warm, quiet way, like someone receiving a compliment they truly needed. "I think," Orin murmurs, "this is what hope feels like." The fireflies begin to swirl around the two of you in a slow dance, forming little spirals and waves. Some drift upward, returning to the sky. Some stay low, hovering like tiny guardians around your steps. You walk through them, feeling a deep calm settle inside you. The field hums with stillness. Each blink of light feels like a heartbeat, a reminder that everything, even the smallest spark, has its own rhythm. Orin moves forward with new determination. Not faster. Snails don't really do fast, but with more presence, more intention. His glowing shell reflects on the grass, painting little golden arcs behind him. He turns to you and says something surprisingly profound. "Maybe the stars send little pieces of themselves down here, for those who move slowly enough to notice them." You breathe out softly. He's right again. You continue walking, guided by fireflies, by the moon, by the quiet pulse of the night. Every step feels like it carries you deeper into calm. Your mind drifts lightly, like a leaf floating down a gentle stream. Eventually, the field of fireflies begins to thin, but their glow lingers. On the grass, on Orin's shell, and inside your thoughts. The night feels bigger now, as if it opened just a little wider to welcome you in. Orin looks ahead with soft determination. "The stars feel closer," he says. And somehow, you feel it too. The journey has only just begun. As you leave the firefly field behind, the night deepens into a velvety blue. The air cools just slightly, like the world is exhaling in relief. Ahead of you rises a small hill, not tall, not steep, but gently curved, as if the land itself is stretching before resting. Orin pauses at the base of it. For a snail, a hill is practically a mountain. But he doesn't seem frightened. He simply studies it with quiet curiosity, the way someone might examine a puzzle they're certain they'll solve eventually. The hill is covered in soft, fuzzy moss that glows faintly in the moonlight. Each step you take produces the gentlest whispering sound. A hush, hush, as if the moss is speaking in a language made entirely of softness. Orin listens. His little eyes tilt upward, thoughtful. "It's telling us something," he says. You kneel down, letting your fingers brush the moss. It's warm, surprisingly warm, like a blanket left out in late afternoon sun. and the whispering sound grows clearer. Not words exactly, but a feeling of encouragement, a suggestion that this hill doesn't need to be conquered, only approached with patience. You begin climbing together. The slope is gentle but consistent. Your steps are steady, slow, deliberate. Each movement feels like its own small meditation. The moss cushions your feet, supporting you the way soft sand supports the tide. Orin moves in his calm, steady rhythm, leaving a faint, shimmering trail behind him. Every few inches he pauses, not because he's tired, but because he's noticing things you might have overlooked. A tiny stone, shaped like a heart. A thin silver moth resting with wings spread like a delicate fan. A patch of moss swirling into a spiral, mirroring the shape of his own shell. You follow his gaze and notice how each small detail carries its own beauty. It slows your thoughts in the best possible way. There's no rush, no checklist, no destination that demands speed. Just the climb, the night, and the constant, steady awareness of your breath. Halfway up the hill, a soft breeze drifts across you. It carries the scent of pine, night-blooming flowers, and something else. Something like quiet hope. The moss whispers louder for a moment, just a brief swell of sound, like a lullaby leaning closer. And Orin says softly, "The hill says that progress doesn't have to be loud." You look at him, surprised by the wisdom he carries so effortlessly. He continues climbing, one slow slide at a time. You match his pace, feeling the tension in your body melting away. Every step feels like a small exhale. Every exhale feels like releasing something you've been holding for far too long. By the time you near the top, the moon has shifted. Its light spills across the hill in a gentle silver sheet. And at the very peak, there is a small clearing. Moss, stone, silence, and an endless sky. Orin reaches it first. He turns toward the horizon and gasps quietly in his snailish way. Because from up here, the stars look closer. The sky stretches wide above you, a dome of glimmering patterns. Constellations shimmer like delicate handwriting across the darkness. And the Milky Way appears as a glowing river, the same one you saw earlier in the meadow, now twice as bright. Orin doesn't say anything for a moment. He just breathes, slowly, deeply, as if filling himself with starlight. Then he looks at you. "See," he whispers, "when you move slowly, everything finds you." You sit beside him on the hilltop, not talking, not thinking, just absorbing the vast quiet of the night sky, the moss's soft embrace beneath you, and the steady presence of a snail who dreams without hurry. Up here, time feels different, gentler, more forgiving. And for a moment, you feel like you're glowing too. When you finally rise from the mossy crest of the hill, the night guides you toward the next part of the journey. A faint path leads downward, bordered by fireflies that drift lazily like drowsy lanterns. Orin glides beside you, still glowing faintly from the firefly field, though now the light has softened into a warm, amber shimmer. At the bottom of the hill, you see it. A giant oak tree, ancient, enormous, and shaped in a way that suggests it has been napping for at least a few centuries. Its branches curve downward in gentle arcs, as though stretching in its sleep. Its leaves move with the slightest hush, forming a gentle, rhythmic rustling, almost like snoring. Orin slows, staring up at it with awe. "It's so big," he says softly. The tree is indeed enormous, but nothing about it feels intimidating. Instead, it radiates a feeling of comfort, like a warm armchair or an oversized dog that insists it's a lap puppy. As you approach the oak, you notice roots spreading outward, like thick, winding pathways. A few are raised high enough to walk beneath, forming natural arches. Some cradle glowing mushrooms that look like tiny lanterns resting in wooden hammocks. Orin moves closer, admiring every detail. He touches the bark with the tip of his shell. The tree responds. A deep, slow vibration hums through the wood, not alarming but soothing, like a massive, ancient exhale. Orin freezes, shell shimmering softly. "I think." The tree said hello. You place a hand on the bark. It's warm, warmer than expected, and the hum reaches you too, like the world's slowest heartbeat. The oak isn't fully awake, but it's aware, gently aware, watching over the night the way a guardian might watch over a sleeping child. You and Orin walk beneath its branches, hearing leaves rustle in a soft, steady rhythm. Every so often an acorn drops in the slowest, most dramatic descent imaginable, drifting, spiraling, landing with a plush thump on the moss. Orin studies one closely. "It looks like a tiny, sleepy helmet," he whispers. You laugh quietly, the sound blending into the rustling leaves. As you move deeper beneath the tree, the air changes. It becomes warmer, denser, almost like stepping under a giant natural quilt. The light dims, but not in a gloomy way, more like a cozy room lit by candlelight. The oak's branches overhead create a canopy of intertwined shadows and moonlight. It feels protective, silent, reassuring. Orin pauses again, this time at a small hollow in the tree's trunk. Inside, faint golden dust floats like drifting pollen. The hollow emits a soft warmth, like a miniature fireplace hidden within wood. "Do you think the tree dreams?" Orin asks quietly. You glance at the drifting golden dust and respond, "I think everything that rests dreams." Orin glows a little brighter at that. He moves closer, letting the warmth settle into his shell. It softens the amber glow into a gentle, sleepy radiance. He leans against the trunk, and you sit beside him. The tree hums again, a deep, slow sound that resonates in your bones. It feels like a lullaby with no melody, just a vibration that loosens every last knot inside you. You rest there with Orin, listening to the oak breathe. The night feels thick and calm. Your senses slow, your body unwinds. Eventually, the oak's hum settles into near silence, as though it is drifting into deeper sleep. You stand slowly, and Orin follows, carrying a bit of the oak's warmth with him. "Thank you," he whispers to the tree. A leaf drifts down in response, landing gently at his side. And the journey continues. Beyond the sleeping oak, the landscape shifts again. The ground dips, forming a small valley where mist gathers like a soft silver blanket. The air cools as you descend, carrying the scent of water, crisp, clean, and tinged with moonlit freshness. You soon hear it, a gentle, flowing sound, like water whispering secrets to the night, the river of reflections. It stretches before you like a ribbon of glass. The water is so still, so clear, that it perfectly mirrors the sky above. Every star, every constellation, every wisp of drifting cloud is reflected with flawless accuracy. Orin approaches the riverbank slowly, reverently. "It looks like the sky fell down," he murmurs. You kneel, touching the surface lightly. The water is cool, but not cold, and sends tiny ripples across the mirrored stars. Each ripple bends the constellations, making them dance gently. Orin watches, mesmerized. He edges closer until he sees his reflection. Small, glowing faintly amber from the oak's warmth, with the night sky shimmering behind him. For a moment, he just stares, and then he says something soft, but important. "I look braver than I feel." You sit beside him, letting your reflection merge with his. The river shows you both exactly as you are. Tired, maybe, hopeful, certainly, slowly moving forward in your own ways. The river doesn't lie, Orin continues, but it doesn't judge either. He slides onto a smooth stone at the water's edge. His shell glows softly against the reflective surface, creating golden ripples of light. The stars beneath him shimmer in reply, almost as if greeting him. You gaze at the river, feeling calm wash over you. Looking into it feels like looking into your own mind. The surface clear, the depths mysterious, but peaceful. Orin studies the sky mirrored in the water. At one point he asks quietly, "Do you think the stars reflect on us too?" You smile at the question. It's exactly the kind of thought that appears only in quiet moments. Moments where the world feels gentle enough for honesty. You answer, "Maybe they do. Maybe that's why they never rush." Orin absorbs that, letting the idea settle like soft light inside him. The river flows slowly, carrying reflections downstream. The mist drifts across the surface, softening the stars into glowing smudges. You breathe it all in. The calm, the quiet, the gentle rhythm of water. Eventually, Orin turns to you. "I think the stars approve of slow journeys," he says. You nod, and as you rise to continue walking, the stars on the water ripple gently, as if agreeing. As you and Orin continue along the riverbank, the mist thins just enough to reveal something ahead. A structure rising from the water, like a dream deciding to take physical shape. A bridge, but not a typical one. This bridge is made of smooth stone slabs, arranged in uneven, whimsical shapes. Some are wide, others narrow. Some curved like crescent moons, others jagged like puzzle pieces. They float just above the river's surface, suspended by unseen forces, creating a winding path that twists gently from bank to bank. Orin stares upward, awe shimmering across his shell. It looks like someone built it. Slowly, he whispers, and he's right. Each stone feels intentionally placed, not for efficiency, but for contemplation. The kind of design only a creature who values patience could create. You step onto the first stone. It's warm beneath your foot, as though it has been absorbing moonlight for centuries. A faint hum rises from it the moment you make contact. A soft vibration that resonates through your bones, gentle and steady, like the purr of a giant ancient cat. Orin touches the stone next. The hum deepens, acknowledging his presence, welcoming him. The bridge is quiet, impossibly quiet, except for the whisper of water below. Each step takes you to a new stone slab, each one slightly different. Some with patterns of spirals, some with faint etchings of stars, some with lines that look like musical notes, drifting lazily across their surface. Every time you move from one stone to the next, you feel your breath sync with the bridge's slow rhythm. A natural pace emerges, unhurried, steady, grounding. Orin moves beside you, sliding carefully. He pauses often, not out of fear, but because each stone offers something new for him to marvel at. "This one looks like a sleeping turtle," he observes. You see it too, the curve of the stone mimicking a shell, the faint grooves suggesting eyes closed in peaceful slumber. Another stone flickers with star-like specks embedded deep inside, glowing faintly with each step taken upon it. Orin leans close, whispering, "Do you think someone put stars in the rocks?" You smile. Honestly, at this point in the journey, anything feels possible. As you continue across, the bridge gently rises, arching upward. Halfway across, you find yourself at its highest point. A rounded stone platform where the view stretches wide in every direction. The river below reflects the moon like a flawless silver mirror. The sky above holds the same moon, the same stars, the same glowing patterns. For a moment, It's impossible to tell which world is the reflection, the one above or the one below. Orin moves to the platform's edge. His small body glows with a soft amber halo, a leftover gift from the sleeping oak. "This is the closest I've ever been to the stars," he says quietly. You stand beside him. The wind moves gently across your face, cool and reassuring. The bridge hums beneath your feet like a heartbeat shared between stone and sky. Orin asks, "Do you think they notice me?" You take a breath and tell him, "I think they always have." He doesn't speak. He simply absorbs the idea, letting it settle into the spiral of his shell like a secret promise. Then, slowly, peacefully, you both continue down the other side of the bridge, each step echoing the quiet truth Orin is beginning to believe, that even small travelers can shine in big worlds. As the bridge leads you back to solid ground, the landscape shifts again, as though the world is curating your journey with perfect, dreamlike pacing. Ahead lies a garden, but it's unlike any garden you've seen before. The flowers here bloom only at night. They glow in soft, cool tones, blues, purples, silvers, and faint pinks. Some petals shimmer like opals. Others drift upward slightly, as though they're weightless. A few release tiny motes of light whenever a breeze brushes past, like sighs made visible. Orin gazes at the nearest blossom, a pale blue flower shaped like a gently folded star. "It looks like it's dreaming," he whispers. And it does. The entire garden feels like a dream, with petals and roots and a pulse of its own. You walk slowly along a pathway of smooth stone tiles, arranged in swirls. With each step, the tiles emit a soft glow, lighting your way as if greeting you personally. Orin moves between the large flowers, peering up at every shape and color. One blossom opens slowly as you approach, revealing inner petals that glow like moonlit silk. Orin gasps softly. "It opened for us." Another flower, tall, with silver leaves, releases a soft sound, like the tinkling of distant chimes, each time the wind moves through it. The air smells like lavender, honey, and something new, something like starlight made into a scent. You pause at a cluster of deep violet blossoms. They're arranged in spirals, mirroring Orin's shell. Each spiral glows from within, creating a soft, hypnotic pattern. Orin touches a petal gently. "It feels warm," he says. As he does, the spiral flowers brighten ever so slightly, responding to his presence. They pulse in gentle rhythm, as though recognizing a kindred spirit. Something else that moves slowly, grows quietly, and finds beauty in patience. A soft breeze passes through the garden. Petals begin to drift from the flowers, glowing fragments that float upward instead of down. They rise into the night air, swirling around you and Orin like tiny lanterns. One settles briefly onto Orin's shell, adding a faint purple tint to his amber glow. "I feel like a night flower," he whispers. You can't help but smile. He does look like one. Small, glowing, delicate, and astonishingly determined. As you continue through the garden, you reach a clearing where the flowers are arranged in a perfect circle. In the center is a single white blossom, enormous, elegant, luminous. It opens slowly as you approach, revealing a radiant core that glows like a captured moonbeam. Orin stares, breathless. That one looks like a star hiding in petals. You both sit beside it for a while. Its light bathes you in soft warmth. Your breath deepens, your thoughts quiet. The night feels thick with peace. Finally, Orin speaks in a whisper. "I think the world leaves signs for slow travelers." And looking around this glowing garden, it's hard to disagree. Leaving the night blossom garden feels like stepping out of a dream, though the soft glow of floating petals lingers behind you. Ahead stretches a path, narrow, winding, and lined with smooth stones, the pale color of moonlit clouds. The moment you step onto the path, you hear it, a faint echo. But the strange thing is, it echoes not your footsteps, but your breath. Every inhale returns to you as a softer inhale. Every exhale returns as a gentler sigh, as if the path itself is mirroring your calm. Orin slides onto the stones. His movement makes the faintest sound, a soft, gliding hush. A moment later, the path echoes it back, only quieter, like a sleepy whisper. Orin's eyes widen. It's listening to us. You walk slowly, and the echoes follow. Not intrusive, not loud, just comforting, like someone repeating your words to show they truly heard you. The stones glow faintly as you move forward. Some have patterns etched into them, spirals, waves, tiny constellations. Others are perfectly smooth, reflecting bits of moonlight. The air here feels different, still, warm, almost sacred. You realize the path is designed to make you slow down even more. Not by force, but by atmosphere. It feels wrong to rush here, like running in a library of dreams. Orin pauses to look at one of the stones that holds a tiny carved spiral. "It looks like my shell," he says. He touches it gently. The stone warms beneath his touch, glowing brighter. The path echoes the warmth in a faint hush that feels like encouragement. As you continue, you realize the path is beginning to shift slightly under your feet. Not enough to startle, just enough to guide. It curves toward a small grove of slender trees whose leaves chime softly when stirred by wind. Each tree emits a faint silver glow, and the sound they make is like distant bells underwater. Orin listens, entranced. It sounds like the night humming. And indeed, the chimes blend with the echoes of your breathing, forming a soft symphony shaped entirely by presence. You walk into the grove. The trees form a natural arch above you. Echoes float gently in the air, bouncing from trunk to trunk in soft waves. With every step, a new echo returns, sometimes as breath, sometimes as heartbeat, sometimes as a warm whisper that feels like the night telling you, "You're doing fine." Orin absorbs each echo with quiet awe. "I think this path tells us what we forget to hear," he says softly. You walk farther. The echoes grow gentler, slower, more spaced out, as if encouraging your body to match their rhythm. You do, without noticing. Your breath deepens, your shoulders loosen. Your steps feel soft and intentional. Eventually, the grove thins. The path opens into a small clearing where moonlight falls clean and bright. The echoes fade into silence, leaving behind a stillness so comforting it feels like a soft hand resting on your back. Orin glows softly beside you, amber and purple, warm and steady. "The stars are still far away," he says, "but I don't feel far from them." And in the silence, under the moon's steady glow, neither do you. After leaving the path of quiet echoes, you step into a clearing bathed in an unusually soft, velvety light. It's moonlight, but different somehow. Gentler, thicker. Like the moon decided to pour a little extra brightness here, just for anyone who happens to wander through at the right moment. The clearing is perfectly circular, as though shaped intentionally, a bowl carved into the landscape. The grass here is shorter, smoother, glowing faintly with pearly hues, and in the very center stands a round, shallow pool, still, silent, a perfect mirror of the sky above. Orin stops at the edge of the clearing. His shell sparkles gently in the moonlight, the amber and purple tones shifting into silvery white. This place feels awake, he whispers. It does. The clearing hums with a quiet awareness, the kind found only in places touched by moonlight for centuries. The air carries a soft, floral scent, something between night jasmine and cool rain. As you walk forward, the grass bends under your feet like velvet cushions. Each step produces a soft shimmer of pale light that fades slowly, as though the ground remembers your presence for a heartbeat before letting it go. Orin glides toward the pool. The moment he reaches its edge, the surface trembles ever so slightly. Not from wind, not from movement, but as if responding to him. He looks at his reflection. Tiny snail body, glowing shell, eyes pointed upward in wonder. But behind his reflection, the mirrored sky does something unusual. The stars twinkle, brighter, clearer, as if the pool enhances them, or maybe brings them closer. Orin leans forward. Look, he whispers. They're sharper here, like they're focusing on us. You kneel beside the pool. Your reflection blends with Orin's, and the sky's shimmering tapestry merges with both. Every star in the reflection seems to pulse gently, sending tiny ripples through the water. It feels like a conversation, not in words, but in presence. Orin slides onto a smooth stone at the water's edge. His shell glows brighter as the moonlight intensifies around him. For a moment, the clearing feels like a sanctuary, a pocket of the world where time slows even further, a place where the night becomes a warm, familiar friend. Then something shifts. The breeze changes direction, circling the clearing like a soft spiral. The moonlight grows slightly warmer, deeper, more golden, and the water in the pool begins to glow from beneath. Slowly, shapes appear under the surface. Faint traces at first, like memories trying to take form. As the glow brightens, you both see them clearly. Paths, curved, winding, branching. Hundreds of tiny illuminated pathways weaving beneath the mirrored sky, like the beginnings of constellations not yet completed. Orin breathes out, a tiny sound, but filled with awe. It's a map, he says softly. A map of places we haven't been yet. You watch the glowing paths shift and swirl beneath the surface, moving in slow, graceful patterns. They don't show destinations. They don't show distances. They simply show possibilities. Endless, patient, waiting for the traveler who doesn't mind taking his time. Orin looks up at you. I think the world is telling us to keep going, he whispers. And with the moon lighting the clearing like a blessing, you stand together and continue the journey. Beyond the moonlit clearing, the landscape opens suddenly into a vast field. A soft, steady breeze drifts across it, carrying threads of cool air that wrap around you like silk ribbons. The grass here is tall enough to brush your knees, and it flows in slow, wave-like motions, moving with the wind as though the entire field is breathing. Orin pauses at the edge, letting the breeze wash over him. His antennae sway gently, his glowing shell catching the moonlight like polished stone. The wind feels kind, he says. It does. There's no harshness to it, no chill, just a soothing rhythmic current, like nature exhaling in long, slow breaths. You step forward, and the tall grass parts around you, as if welcoming you into its calm embrace. Each blade sways with soft rustling sounds, creating a subtle harmony that blends perfectly with the wind's steady whisper. Orin slides beside you, moving slowly through the grass. He leaves a faint, shimmering trail that catches on the tips of the blades, making them glow briefly before fading back into darkness. As you walk, the wind shifts in curious little patterns, circling gently, moving ahead, then brushing your side. It's as if the wind itself is examining you, deciding how best to accompany you on this stretch of the journey. At one point, it forms a small vortex of soft air around Orin, lifting a few blades of grass into a gentle spiral. Orin giggles, a soft, tiny sound. I think it's trying to play with me. The wind curls again, brushing your cheek in a slow, affectionate sweep. This place feels alive, not with energy or excitement, but with serenity. The wind seems to understand the pace of your journey, matching it, encouraging it, making room for it. You walk deeper into the field. With each step, the wind grows warmer, softer, wrapping around you like a blanket freshly pulled from sunlight. Orin tilts his head upward. The stars look like they're moving with us, he says. You look up. He's right. The stars seem to drift in slow arcs overhead, not literally moving, but appearing to shift as the tall grass waves beneath them. The sky and earth blend into a single rhythm. After a while, you come across a patch of unusually tall grass, so tall it forms natural archways. The wind moves through them, producing low, flute-like notes. Orin listens intently. It sounds like the field is singing, he says. And indeed it does, each archway creating a different tone, each gust of wind playing a new note. Together, the sounds form a melody so gentle, so soothing. It almost feels like the field is humming a lullaby for weary travelers. You stop to listen. The melody drifts around you like soft fabric. Your shoulders drop. Your breath deepens. Your thoughts soften. Orin closes his eyes briefly, absorbing the peaceful music. This place feels like a rest, he whispers, and it does. The wind slows gradually, settling into a warm, steady breeze that nudges you onward, not pushing, just guiding. Eventually the field begins to narrow, the tall grass thinning as the land transitions into a softer, lower terrain. Orin looks back at the waving grass, glowing faintly in the moonlight. I think the wind wanted to help us, he says. You smile. It did. And with that gentle support carried inside you, you continue onward. As the field of gentle winds gives way to softer ground, you see small lights flickering ahead, warm, golden glimmers floating at knee height like tiny hovering embers. The lantern path. It stretches forward like a glowing ribbon, each lantern bobbing gently in the night air. They aren't hung from anything. They simply float, little orbs of light with soft flickering centers, drifting in perfectly calm stillness. Orin approaches the nearest lantern. His shell gleams in the warm light, turning a soft golden hue. It feels warm, he says. The lantern pulses in gentle response, its glow brightening slightly as if greeting him. You step onto the path, and the lanterns adjust their height, rising just enough to light your way at the perfect angle. Their light is warm, soothing, almost candle-like, but without any flame. The ground beneath you is smooth and sandy, cool underfoot, soft enough to feel calming with every step. Orin moves beside you, his glow blending with the lanterns. He pauses occasionally to inspect one closely, admiring the swirling patterns of light inside each orb. It's like they're carrying tiny suns, he whispers. As you walk deeper along the path, the lanterns begin to sway gently, not from wind, but as if they're responding to your movement. They drift ahead, forming shapes, lines, and small constellations that guide you forward. At one point, they arrange themselves into a small spiral in the air, hovering directly above Orin. He looks up, stunned. It's my shell, he says softly. The lanterns pulse warmly, acknowledging him. A moment later, they rearrange themselves into a long ribbon of light that stretches ahead. Following them feels natural, like walking inside a soft golden dream. The air here grows warmer, filled with the faint scent of honey and cinnamon. Your breathing deepens. Your steps slow further, matching the lantern's gentle rhythm. You notice that the lanterns cast no shadows. Their light diffuses evenly, creating a floating world without harsh edges or dark corners. Orin slides ahead, turning back to make sure you're close. "This path feels safe," he says. And it does. Safe, warm, guiding, like being led by dozens of tiny guardians who expect nothing from you except presence. As you move forward, the lanterns begin revealing something else. Objects on the ground that glow in the golden light. Small, polished stones, tiny feathers, little shells shaped like spirals, stars, or teardrops. Orin collects none of them. He only looks, appreciating each one without taking anything. And quietly, you realize something. He's not trying to reach the stars quickly. He's noticing everything that exists along the way. Beauty that faster travelers would miss entirely. Eventually, the lanterns begin to drift upward, forming an arch of light that signals the end of this segment of the journey. Orin pauses beneath the arch, gazing upward as if absorbing every last flicker. "The lanterns remind me of stars," he says, "not the far ones, the ones that walk with us." Then he turns to you, small, glowing, determined, and whispers, "We're closer now. I can feel it." And with the golden light fading gently behind you, you continue deeper into the night. The lantern path fades behind you like warm embers, slowly dissolving into the night. And ahead, the ground slopes downward into a gentle valley. The air here shifts again, cooler than before, carrying a quiet hush that feels almost sacred. Mist curls lazily at the valley floor, resting in soft pools like clouds that decided to take a nap on the ground. Orin pauses at the top of the slope, peering downward with a mixture of curiosity and wonder. "It looks like the sky is sleeping," he says. And it does. The mist drifts in soft waves, glowing faintly with reflected moonlight, creating the illusion of a second sky tucked beneath the real one. You step forward onto the slope. The earth is soft, almost spongy underfoot, giving way gently with each step. The descent is slow and calming. Each movement feels cushioned, as though the valley itself is protecting your passage. Orin glides beside you, leaving a shimmering trail that catches on the mist like tiny threads of silver. His shell absorbs the cool air, glowing with a softer, frost-tinged radiance. Halfway down, the sounds begin. Soft, distant echoes. But they aren't echoes of your footsteps this time. They sound like memories. Gentle, wordless murmurs drifting on the mist. You stop and listen. The echoes grow clearer, though still faint, like the valley is whispering old stories it has collected over the years. Orin listens too, his small antennae vibrating ever so slightly. "It's not talking to us," he says. "It's remembering." The idea settles over you like a warm blanket. This valley feels ancient, not in a crumbling, decaying sense, but in a wise, gentle, well-lived way. You continue downward until the mist surrounds you. It rises just above your waist, cool and soft, and glows faintly with hints of pale blue and silver. Each breath you take feels deeper here, slower, more grounding. As you move forward, shapes begin to appear in the mist, faint outlines that drift into form for a moment before dissolving again. Not threatening shapes, just impressions. Soft silhouettes of past travelers, or moments, or thoughts that the valley has held onto gently. Orin watches one of the shapes, a small spiral, floating like a curled fern, twist slowly upward before fading into the moonlight. "It's showing us things that mattered," he whispers. "The deeper you walk, the stronger the echoes become. Not louder, but clearer. Some sound like distant laughter, others like gentle humming, a few like whispered reassurances. You're doing fine. Keep going. Slow is enough." The mist thickens in places, then suddenly parts, revealing a stretch of still air that feels like a pause in the valley's quiet song. Orin glides into the clearing. His shell glows gently, casting a warm light around him. "It feels peaceful," he says. Then he looks up at you. "I think the valley wants us to leave here a little lighter." You breathe in deeply, feeling the stillness settle. Your mind loosens. Your thoughts drift softly, like leaves carried by a slow river. When you continue walking, the mist grows thinner, as though the valley has shared all it needed to show you. At the end of the valley, the echoing fades entirely, leaving behind a comforting silence. Orin looks back one last time. "Thank you," he says to the mist. And with that, you both step out of the valley. Lighter, softer, quieter inside. Beyond the valley, the land rises gently again and leads into a forest. But it's unlike any forest you've ever walked in. The trees here are tall and slender, their trunks smooth and silver, their leaves dark as velvet. Each leaf carries a faint shimmer, as though dipped in diluted starlight. The canopy above forms a soft, dappled ceiling that lets moonlight through in pale, quiet beams. Orin pauses at the forest's edge. "It feels alive," he whispers. And he's right. The moment you step inside, the air moves differently. Soft currents sweep through the branches, and with each shift, the leaves produce tiny whispering sounds. Delicate, airy, like someone speaking from a great distance. The whispers never form words. They're more like sensations, hints of comfort, traces of reassurance, subtle reminders that you're safe. Orin glides forward, and the trees seem to respond instantly. A gentle shimmer moves through the leaves above him, lighting his path in tiny silver flashes. "It's talking," he says, tilting his head upward. You listen closely. The whispers form a layered melody. Wind moving through leaves, branches swaying, the soft hum of something ancient but gentle. As you walk deeper, the forest becomes more luminous. Some trees glow faintly at the base, spreading soft circles of bluish light on the ground. Others release thin trails of shimmering powder that float upward, dissolving near the canopy. Orin pauses by one tree and places his shell gently against its trunk. The tree responds instantly. A warm, soft hum resonates through the wood, traveling up the trunk, through the branches, and back down again. Orin steps back, eyes shining with awe. It said, "Hello." You smile, not because of the novelty, but because everything here feels intentional, peaceful, slow. You follow a winding path of silver-glowing roots. The forest shifts subtly as you walk, branches leaning slightly inward, guiding your steps, leaves swaying in patterns that seem to mirror your breathing. At one point, a soft gust of wind travels along the ground like a rolling whisper. It sails past Orin, lifting him the tiniest fraction before settling him back down. He freezes. Did the forest just carry me? A second whisper passes, gentle, warm, almost playful. Orin glows with shy delight. The deeper you move, the more dreamlike the forest becomes. You come across a clearing where the trees encircle a soft pool of bluish light. Above it, firefly-like particles drift slowly upward, hovering like a constellation suspended just above the ground. Orin watches them, mesmerized. They're moving like stars, he whispers. And it's true. The particles drift in spiral patterns, then dissolve into little bursts of soft luminescence. You both sit there a moment, letting the forest's whispers wash over you. Each breath feels like being wrapped in quiet, silvery cloth. Eventually, the trees begin to thin. The whispers fade. The glow softens, and the forest releases you gently, like a hand unclenching without hurry. Orin looks up as you step out beneath the open sky again. I think the forest promised us something, he says softly. Then, after a tiny pause, that we'll find what we're looking for, even if it takes time. And with that quiet reassurance, you continue forward. Past the whispering forest, the land rises gradually again, forming a long, narrow ridge that stretches into the distance, like a natural walkway suspended between earth and sky. The air here is cooler, thinner, clearer, as though you've climbed into a space reserved for night itself. Above you, the stars shine brighter than anywhere you've been so far. Closer, sharper, more numerous. The Milky Way spills across the darkness, like a river of crushed diamonds. Orin inches forward, staring upward with wide, wonder-filled eyes. I feel like they're breathing with us, he whispers. And somehow, you feel it too. The stars flickering in slow, steady rhythms that match the rise and fall of your chest. You walk along the ridge. The ground beneath is smooth stone, warmed slightly by the day but cooled by night air. Each footstep feels steady, grounded, almost ceremonial. The ridge narrows in places, widening in others, but it never feels dangerous. Only elevated, sacred, dreamlike. Orin's shell glows more than ever now. Amber, purple, silver, gold, all the colors he has gathered along the journey. He looks like a tiny moving lantern against the starlit ridge. At one point, the ridge curves gently to the left, and the view opens fully. An endless horizon of rolling hills, glowing meadows, shimmering rivers, and distant forests all bathed in moonlight. Orin freezes in awe. It's beautiful, he breathes. Do you think the stars can see all of this? You nod. Maybe that's why they shine, to light everything they love. Orin smiles in the quiet way snails smile. His shell glimmers. As you walk further, something remarkable happens. The stars overhead begin to twinkle in synchronized patterns, tiny pulses, like blinking fireflies in the sky. Then, one by one, beams of soft, faint light extend downward. Not bright, not sharp. Just gentle streams of silver luminescence, reaching toward the ridge like celestial fingertips. Orin gasps. They're saying hello. The beams don't touch the ground. They simply hover, swaying slightly with the night breeze. You walk beneath them. Every time you pass under one, you feel a subtle warmth on your skin, like the stars are brushing you with silent encouragement. Orin pauses beneath one particularly tall beam. It flickers gently, then pulses in a calm rhythm. He whispers, barely audible, I think they know we're coming. That thought lingers in the air, soft, sacred, weightless. As the ridge descends, the beams recede gradually, returning to the sky like threads being carefully pulled back into fabric. The starlit pass widens again. The ground levels. A soft breeze moves through the grass below. Orin glides ahead a little faster, which for a snail still means very slow. But you can sense his excitement. He turns and looks back at you. We're closer. I know we are. And with the stars glowing brighter than ever above you, you continue together into the next chapter of the journey. As the starlit pass widens and the soft beams fade back into the heavens, The path leads you toward a rising slope of smooth stone. At first, it looks like an ordinary hill, gentle, soft, unassuming. But the higher you climb, the more the air shifts. It grows cooler, crisper, the kind of cool that comes from being slightly closer to the sky. Orin pauses halfway up the slope and looks back, taking in the sweeping landscape behind you. Glowing meadows, the whispering forest, the lantern path, the valley of soft echoes. Everything appears small from up here, softened by distance and nightlight. It looks like a memory, Orin whispers. You smile. It does. The entire journey behind you feels dreamlike, held together by the quiet patience of the night. When you reach the top, the path suddenly flattens out onto an enormous stone plateau, a cliff stretching outward like a giant balcony overlooking the entire world. The name comes to you instinctively, the sky mirroring cliff, because when you step forward, the surface beneath your feet catches your breath. The stone is polished smooth, impossibly smooth, like ancient marble buffed by time itself. A thin layer of mist drifts across it, and every inch of the stone reflects the sky above, with uncanny clarity. Stars shimmer at your feet, as though you're walking through the night instead of beneath it. Orin gasps, frozen in place. It's like the sky came down to meet us, he says. He slides cautiously onto the reflective stone. His shell casts soft glimmers across it, creating tiny constellations that trail behind him, like a personal galaxy. You walk forward with slow, gentle steps. The reflection doesn't distort. The stars remain steady, perfect, endless beneath you. For a moment, you genuinely can't tell where reality ends and reflection begins. Orin stares down at his reflected self, small, determined, glowing softly. But behind him in the mirrored sky, the stars shimmer as though alive. He leans closer. Do you think the stars see the same thing when they look at us? His voice is soft, hopeful. You think about it. Maybe they do. Maybe they see small beings carrying light inside themselves, inching patiently toward something beautiful. You walk together across the cliff. The stone hums faintly beneath your feet, a slow, deep vibration that feels ancient and reassuring. When Orin moves, the hum grows slightly stronger, as though acknowledging his presence. A gentle breeze sweeps across the plateau. It ruffles your hair, brushes against your cheeks, and sends faint ripples across the mirrored surface. The stars waver for a heartbeat, then settle again, patient, steady, eternal. At the center of the cliff lies a spiral pattern etched into the stone. Wide, sweeping, elegant. It glows faintly, almost imperceptibly, like the last ember of a dying fire. Orin stops at the entrance of the spiral. It looks like my shell, he whispers. You both begin to follow the spiral path inward. Each step brings you closer to the center, your reflections moving like silent companions beneath you. As you walk, the spiral seems to narrow the world around you. The wind softens, the hum deepens. The stars above and below align so perfectly that you feel suspended between two identical skies. Orin pauses when he reaches the spiral's heart, a small circular depression in the stone, filled with clear, still water. A pool, but not just any pool. A pool that reflects not the sky above, but possibilities. Shapes shift within its depths. Faint trails of light, memories not yet lived, paths you haven't walked. Dreams, perhaps, waiting quietly for someone patient enough to notice them. Orin gazes into the pool. I've never seen anything like this, he says, voice trembling with awe. It feels like the future is soft. And standing beside him, with stars mirrored at your feet and infinite quiet around you. You understand exactly what he means. Leaving the sky-mirroring cliff feels like stepping out of a dream layered inside another dream. The stone gives way to softer ground once more, earth, moss, and smooth patches of gravel that crunch lightly beneath your feet. Ahead lies a narrow, winding path made entirely of flat stones. Each stone glows faintly along its edges, as though lit from within. The stones twist and curve like a river, frozen in ancient rhythm. Orin looks up at you with a curious tilt of his tiny head. "It feels like the path already knows where we're going," he says. And it does. Each stone in the path seems placed with intention, not perfectly aligned, but arranged in a way that encourages slow, mindful movement. There is no rushing here, no straight line, only gentle curves, soft turns, and arcs shaped by time. You step onto the first stone. It is warm beneath your foot, unexpectedly warm, as if holding the heat of forgotten sunlight. Orin slides onto the next stone, and it glows slightly brighter in response. This path, it's alive. You walk slowly, your breath syncing with the quiet rhythm of the stones. Each step creates a soft hum, a note that blends seamlessly into the night soundscape. Wind sweeps across the path occasionally, stirring the grass, carrying with it scents of lavender, cool moss, and distant pine. The air feels fresh but gentle, as though filtered through layers of calm. Orin glides forward, pausing every now and then to admire the glow beneath him. "I like this path," he says. "It doesn't hurry me." He's right. The winding stones encourage a natural slowing, a settling of pace, a deepening of breath, a softening of thoughts. You notice that the stones become different shapes as you move. Spirals, stars, teardrops, waves. Each one carries a faint engraving, symbols etched into their surfaces with delicate precision. Some look like ancient runes. Others resemble constellations. A few look like simple drawings made by someone who understood the beauty of small things. Orin pauses on a stone shaped like a droplet. "This one feels like a memory," he says, although he can't explain why. You step beside him and notice something remarkable. A faint echo is stored in the stone. A distant hum, a soft sigh, maybe a laugh. A tiny moment captured and preserved forever. "Maybe these stones remember the ones who walked here before us," you say. Orin gazes at the stone thoughtfully. "Then we're part of the story too." You walk deeper along the path, the curves growing more intricate, like the world is tracing a gentle poem in stone. In some places, the stones rise slightly, creating small terraces. In others, they flatten out, merging seamlessly with the soft earth. But always, always, they wind forward, never rushed, never straight. Eventually, you reach a point where the path opens into a small overlook, not as vast as the cliff before, but intimate, quiet, bathed in moonlight. Below, the land stretches outward like a quilt of shadows and soft light. Above, the stars shimmer in slow arcs, patient and unwavering. Orin turns to you. "I think slow paths see more," he says simply. And with that soft truth resting comfortably between you, you continue, past the winding stone path. The land dips slightly, and you hear it before you see it. A soft, steady trickle of water, gentle as a whisper drifting through leaves. A brook, but not a lively, rushing one. This brook is slow, impossibly slow, moving with the pace of a drowsy dream. Its surface glimmers with moonlight, forming shimmering ribbons that drift lazily downstream. Orin approaches carefully, peering over the edge where the water curls around smooth stones. It's Sleepy, he says. The brook moves in soft, languid swirls. Small ripples emerge, drift outward, and fade long before reaching the banks. Even the water sounds half asleep, murmuring softly like someone on the edge of dreaming. You kneel beside it and dip your fingers into the brook. The water is cool, not cold, and surprisingly thick, almost silky in texture. It clings gently to your skin, leaving faint traces of silver light. Orin touches the water with the tip of his shell. A tiny ring of luminescence spreads outward, expanding slowly before dissolving into the surface. It feels like it wants to hold on to moments, he murmurs. The banks of the brook are covered in soft moss that glows with pale blue hues. Small flowers bloom between the moss patches, delicate blossoms shaped like drops of liquid moonlight. When the breeze passes through, the flowers release faint motes of silver dust that drift upward and disappear like sighs. You walk alongside the brook as it curves through the landscape. Its pace never changes, always slow, always gentle, always drifting like a song without urgency. Orin moves with ease beside you. His reflection glides alongside him in the water, glowing softly beneath the ripples. He pauses at a large, smooth stone in the water's center. A stepping stone shaped almost perfectly, like a crescent moon. "Do you think it's safe?" he asks. You nod and help guide him onto it. He settles in the middle, his glow spreading across the water in warm waves. From here, the brook seems to widen a little, deepening slightly, but never losing its slow, sleepy rhythm. Orin looks around. This place feels peaceful, he says, like the world slowed down so I could catch up. A breeze sweeps across the brook, stirring the water in the softest pattern. A gentle spiral. The ripples swirl outward, forming shapes that resemble tiny galaxies. Orin watches them, mesmerized. "Do you think even water dreams?" he asks. You look at the drifting moonlight reflections, the swirling ripples, the slow, murmuring flow. "I think everything that moves slowly dreams," you reply. Orin glows a little brighter at that. You both follow the brook until it drifts into a narrow channel, disappearing behind tall grasses and soft reeds. The sound of the water fades gently into the distance. Orin looks up at you. "The stars feel closer than they did before," he says quietly. "And I feel ready." With that calm certainty glowing inside him, you prepare to follow the next part of the journey. As the sleeping brook drifts softly into the distance, the landscape opens once again, unfolding into a wide, serene meadow. But unlike the glowing fields you've crossed earlier, this one feels muted, quiet, in a deeper, more profound way. The grass here is short and velvety, pale green touched with hints of silver. It doesn't sway in the breeze. It barely moves at all, as if the entire meadow is holding its breath in gentle anticipation. Orin pauses at the meadow's edge and listens. His tiny eyes narrow slightly, not in fear, but in curiosity. "It feels like sound doesn't want to be loud here," he whispers. And indeed, even your footsteps soften naturally, becoming padded, muffled, respectful. The air itself seems to thicken slightly, not heavy but protective. A hush covers everything like a warm, invisible quilt. You step forward. The grass gives way under your feet, like a mattress made of clouds compressed just enough to hold your weight. No rustling, no crunch, just softness. Orin glides beside you, leaving an almost invisible trail behind him, shimmering faintly like a whisper made visible. The deeper you walk into the meadow, the quieter everything becomes. Your breath sounds unusually loud to your own ears, not harsh but pronounced, like hearing your heartbeat while lying in a silent room. Orin seems to notice too. He breathes slower, quieter, more intentionally. "I think this meadow is teaching us how to listen," he says. The air shifts in response, a subtle ripple, like the world nodding in agreement. Tiny flowers dot the meadow, barely noticeable at first glance. Their petals are pale cream, shaped like droplets frozen in mid-fall. They open and close slowly, following a rhythm that feels too patient to be random. Each opening releases the faintest hint of scent: warm linen, clover, soft wood, something that reminds you of the feeling of stepping into a freshly made bed. Orin stops beside a small cluster of them. He leans close, observing the petals as they unfold. "They're breathing," he whispers. You notice it too. The flowers move in a slow inhale-exhale pattern, opening, pausing, closing, pausing again, and in the stillness, your own body begins to match the rhythm instinctively. Inhale, pause, exhale, pause. The meadow deepens your calm effortlessly. As you walk further, the hush becomes almost meditative. Your thoughts slow until they feel like drifting feathers. Each one lands softly, without urgency, without insistence. Orin's glow dims slightly, not fading, but settling into a softer hue, like a lantern lowered for the night. "This place makes me feel inside my own shell," he says, voice gentle. Not in a hiding way, in a resting way. You sit for a moment in the meadow's stillness. The grass cushions you. The hush wraps around you. Your breath deepens without effort. In this quiet, even time feels slower. Not stretched, but softened. Eventually, Orin rises again, moving with careful intention. "I feel lighter," he says, "like I put something down without noticing." You stand and brush your hands against the soft grass. The meadow accepts your movement, as if it's part of its natural rhythm. At the far side, the hush lifts slightly. The air becomes thinner again, sound returning in small pieces. The soft chirp of a distant insect, the faint whisper of breeze re-entering its own voice. Orin turns to take one last look at the meadow. "Thank you," he says softly. And then you step out together, entering the next chapter of the night. As you leave the hushed meadow behind, the terrain shifts once again, rising into a gentle slope dotted with smooth stones that glow faintly with a bluish sheen. The sky, already bright with stars, appears even wider here, stretching in a perfect dome overhead. At the top of the slope stands an arch, tall, elegant, carved from pale stone that gleams like moon-polished marble. Vines wrap around its sides, glowing softly with tiny luminescent buds that resemble miniature constellations. Orin stops before it in stunned admiration. "It looks like someone built this just to look at the sky," he whispers. And perhaps they did. The arch feels ancient, not in a crumbling way, but in a timeless, sacred way. The stone is smooth, untouched by erosion, as though protected by an unseen presence. As you approach, the air beneath the arch feels cooler, clearer, almost electric with quiet anticipation. Orin slides toward the center of the arch. His shell catches the arch's glow, becoming a swirl of soft blues and silvery moonlight. The moment he crosses under it, something remarkable happens. The stars overhead brighten, subtly but undeniably. Their light sharpens, focusing through the opening like beams passing through a lens. Orin looks up, eyes widening. It's like the arch is helping me see them. You join him beneath the arch. Standing there, framed by ancient stone, the sky feels impossibly close, as if you could reach out and gently brush your fingertips across the constellations. The arch hums softly, a deep, steady vibration that resonates through the stone and into your bones. It's not loud, it's not dramatic, it's simply present. Orin tilts his tiny head upward. I wonder who built it, he says. A breeze sweeps through the arch, swirling around you like a soft sigh. The vines flutter gently, their glowing buds trembling with delicate light. You rest your hand on the stone. It's warm, warmer than the night air. The warmth spreads through your palm, up your arm, into your chest. The arch is alive, not in a breathing, beating way, but in a way that suggests memory, purpose, intention. Orin speaks again, his voice soft with wonder. I think it's a gift for anyone who looks up. A moment later, the arch responds with a faint pulse of light that travels along its stone surface, then fades into the night. You both step back and look at the arch from a distance. It frames the sky perfectly, stars glittering like diamonds inside a ring of glowing vines. Orin takes a deep breath. I feel like the stars are not just above us, he says. I feel like they're guiding. And with the arch's soft glow at your back, you continue onward into the night, carrying that guidance with you. Past the Star Watcher's arch, the landscape shifts into rolling hills, covered with something that at first glance looks like tall grass. But as you approach, you realize it isn't grass at all. Feathers, thousands, maybe millions of them, growing from the earth like soft, drifting blades. They sway gently in the breeze, each one shimmering in pale hues of white, silver, and faint lavender. The sight is so soft, so surreal, it feels like stepping into a cloud that decided to take physical form. Orin stops dead in his tracks. It's fluffy, he whispers, awestruck. You take a step forward and feel the feathers brush against your legs. Smooth, airy, almost weightless. They make no sound. They simply glide across your skin like soft breaths. Orin glides into the feather field. The feathers part around him, rising and falling in slow, rippling waves. He lets one brush his shell. It glows faintly in response, leaving behind a tiny streak of iridescent color. This place is gentle, he says, and it is. The feathers move as though responding to your presence, swaying aside, curling slightly inward, then opening again like soft, airy petals. You walk deeper into the field. The feathers grow taller, reaching your waist, then your chest, though they remain impossibly light. You can lift handfuls of them easily, and when you release them, they drift downward in slow-motion spirals. The breeze moves through them like a whispered sigh, creating waves that ripple across the field in shimmering patterns. Orin watches the waves with wide, mesmerized eyes. It looks like the sky is learning how to swim, he says. You both walk slowly, letting the feathers brush against you like soft reminders to relax. The field feels like a sanctuary made of air, a place where nothing can cling too tightly, not even your thoughts. You breathe deeply. The air here feels cooler, sweeter. It carries the faint scent of linen, clouds, and something warm, maybe the scent of peace itself. After a while, you reach a section where the feathers grow shorter and gather in circular patterns that resemble soft nests. Orin slides into the center of one. It molds around him perfectly, holding him gently like a cradle. He breathes out. I feel safe here. You sit beside him. The feather field cushions every movement, turning even the slightest shift into a soft whisper. Above you, the sky opens fully, vast, shimmering, endless. The Milky Way forms a bright arc overhead, mirrored faintly in the sheen of the feathers around you. Orin gazes at the stars. They're closer, he says. I can feel them. And as the breeze drifts through the feathers once more, lifting a few into the air to dance above you like glowing petals. You believe him. Leaving the feather fields behind feels a bit like stepping out of a dream that was made entirely of softness. Feathers loosen their hold on your ankles, drifting back into place, and the ground gradually turns firmer beneath your feet. Soft earth, dotted with small, smooth stones. Ahead of you rises another hill. Not the tallest you've seen, not the steepest. But there's something about this hill that feels significant. It curves upward in a long, steady slope, like a patient invitation rather than a challenge. Orin pauses at the base, looking up with quiet eyes. "This feels important," he says softly. The air around the hill is still, not empty, just waiting, as if the landscape itself is holding space for whatever will happen here. You take the first step. The earth is firm, cool, slightly springy. Each footfall sends a faint vibration upward, as though waking up old memories buried in the soil. Orin begins his ascent beside you. He moves like he always does, slowly, steadily, without fanfare. His glowing shell carries traces of every place you've been. Amber from the oak, purple from the night blossoms, gold from the lanterns, silver from the cliff, soft shimmer from the feathers. He is, without realizing it, a walking summary of the entire journey. Halfway up the hill, the wind begins to move. Not harshly, just enough to remind you that the world is still breathing alongside you. It runs gentle fingers through the grass, brushes faintly against your face, curls around Orin as if checking in. Orin slows, not because he's tired, but because something inside him has shifted. He looks up at the sky, then back at the slope. Then, for the first time, he looks a little unsure. "What if I never actually touch them?" he whispers. The stars above seem to hold their light a little quieter, listening. You stand beside him, giving the question room to breathe. He continues, eyes lowered now. "I've been moving for so long. I keep telling myself I'll reach them one day. But what if I'm too slow? What if I stay small, and they stay far? And it was silly to hope this much." The wind hushes. The hill waits. You look at him, at his small, glowing body, his patient trail, his shell that remembers every kind of light it has ever met. "Does wanting the stars make you feel alive?" you ask gently. Orin thinks for a long, quiet moment. "Yes," he whispers. "Does moving toward them, even slowly, make your days feel meaningful?" He nods, very slightly. "It does." You kneel so you're closer to his level. "Then it was never silly," you say. "Not even a little." He looks up at the sky again. The stars don't feel any closer in that exact moment. But something else does. His own courage. The hill seems to respond. A soft warmth rises from the ground, traveling through your feet, into your legs, into your chest, into him. "This hill," Orin says quietly, "feels like it's asking me. Are you sure?" You smile. "And are you?" He closes his eyes, not to escape, but to listen to himself more clearly. When he opens them, there is no dramatic transformation, no burst of power, no sudden surge of speed, just a calmer look, a steadier glow, a softer, deeper yes. "Yes," he says. "I want to keep going. Even if I never touch them, I still want to go." The wind returns, warmer this time. It flows up the hill behind you, almost like a hand at your back, offering gentle support instead of pressure. Together, you continue climbing, step by step, slide by slide, breath by breath. Nothing about your movement changes on the outside, but inside, something settles, like a decision finally resting in its rightful place. By the time you reach the top, you feel different. Not stronger, not faster, but clearer. Orin reaches the crest and looks up. The stars feel close enough to hear. At the top of the hill of quiet resolve, the world shifts again. What waits beyond the crest isn't more earth. It isn't more stone or grass or feathers. It's cloud, a soft, spreading layer of pale mist, thick enough to walk on. It stretches outward like a gentle bridge, hovering just above the ground, glowing faintly with captured moonlight. Orin stares at it, eyes wide. "Are we allowed to walk on that?" he asks, almost in a whisper. "You test it with your foot." The cloud gives just a little, like stepping on a firm mattress or freshly packed snow that decided to be kind. Then it holds, warm, stable, surprisingly solid. You glance back at Orin and nod. His little body trembles, not from fear exactly, but from the weight of how surreal this all feels. Still, he takes a breath, the snail equivalent of squaring his shoulders, and slides onto the cloud. It supports him easily. For a moment, you both just stand there, feeling the faint, buoyant give under your weight. The air around you lightens, cooler, thinner, tinged with a sweetness that reminds you of rain and distant stars. The cloud-touched path arcs gently upward. As you walk, wisps of fog curl around your ankles like lazy cats. Each step leaves a faint imprint that slowly dissolves, not erased, but absorbed, as though the path is grateful for your passage. Beneath the cloud layer, hints of the land below appear at times. Distant valleys, meadows, forests, the river glinting faintly like a streak of silver ink. Far enough away to feel dreamlike. Close enough to remind you how far you've come. Orin glides forward, leaving a glowing, shimmering trail that the cloud eagerly swallows, as if collecting starlight from his shell. "It feels like we're walking on sky that hasn't chosen a direction yet," he says. You smile. That's exactly what it feels like. A place between earth and stars, between here and there, between wanting and becoming. As you continue onward, the mist around you grows brighter. Not blinding, just softly luminous, like someone turned up the dimmer switch on the night. The stars above are sharper, clearer. Some seem to shimmer in direct response to your steps, twinkling slightly brighter whenever you move. At one point, a small swirl of cloud rises beside Orin, forming a loose spiral that mirrors his shell. It drifts along beside him, keeping pace. He laughs quietly. "I think the path is excited for us." The cloud-touched path narrows for a while, becoming a slender strip, then widens again into a broad, gentle platform. Here, the mist gathers into low, pillowed shapes, like cloudstones to sit on. You both pause, resting for a moment. The air is incredibly still, not stagnant, just perfectly calm. Your breath is the loudest thing here. Slow in, soft out. Orin looks at you, then at the sky. "Do you think they know how much I've wanted this?" he asks, voice barely above a whisper. You follow his gaze. The stars are silent. But the silence doesn't feel uncaring. It feels reverent, like someone listening very closely. "I think they've watched every step," you say. "The ones that felt easy, the ones that didn't. I think they've seen all of it." Orin is quiet for a long time. Then softly he says, "I'm not trying to impress them anymore." You tilt your head slightly. "What are you trying to do now?" He looks up, glow steady, breath calm. "Just meet them." The mist shifts gently, curling around his shell. The path seems to approve. You rise again, and together you walk onward, higher, deeper into the cloud-bathed night, where the line between sky and earth grows thin enough to almost disappear. The cloud-touched path rises one final time. Not steeply, not dramatically, just enough to bring you to a place where the world feels thinner, more transparent, like you're standing at the edge of a dream that is about to turn into something else. The mist parts gently, and you step onto a small, round platform made of solid light. It's as if moonlight decided to become a floor for a while. Smooth, warm, softly glowing. There are no railings, no walls, only open sky in every direction. Orin glides onto the platform, his shell brightening instinctively in response. He looks smaller than ever against the vastness around him, and at the same time, somehow bigger than he has ever felt before. Above you, the stars blaze. They're not louder. They're not closer in a literal, physically measurable way, but they feel closer. Their light is clearer, more directed. You can see subtle colors now. Hints of blue, gold, faint rose, pale green. The Milky Way hangs like a luminous bridge between distant horizons. Orin moves to the center of the platform and stops. He looks up, and up, and up. His voice is a whisper, but the night hears it clearly. "I'm here," he says. "I know I'm still far away. I know I'm small. I know I'm slow. But I'm here." The air around you stills. Even the faintest breeze pauses, as if out of respect. For a moment, nothing happens. No dramatic crack of thunder, no exploding comets, just the quiet pulsing of starlight across an ancient sky. Then gently, one star brightens. Not the brightest one, not the largest, just one, a modest, steady point of light. Its glow intensifies, not in a sudden flash, but in a calm, deliberate bloom. Soft rays of light stretch outward from it, reaching across the darkness. A single thread of starlight unfurls downward. It moves slowly, so slowly, like it has all the time in the universe, which of course it does. The thread reaches the platform. It doesn't crash, or blaze, or burn. It simply settles there, a softly glowing ribbon of pale silver, humming with quiet warmth. Orin doesn't move at first. His tiny body trembles. "Is that for me?" he asks. You don't answer. You don't need to. The starlight responds for you. It curves gently toward him, as if drawn by recognition, by the long, patient wish that has accompanied every step he's taken. Orin inches forward, one slow slide, another, another. He doesn't rush, he doesn't leap, he doesn't change who he is for this moment. He arrives. The starlight touches his shell. It isn't a blazing, dramatic collision. It's a soft meeting, like foreheads resting together, like two hands finding each other in the dark. The light spreads across his shell in a slow, spiraling pattern, tracing the curve of his home, filling every groove, every line, every tiny imperfection with gentle radiance. You watch as his shell begins to glow from within, brighter than before, but not blinding. A warm, deep, steady light, starlight, yes, but also journey light, forest light, lantern light, self-light. Orin closes his eyes. For a long, quiet moment, there is no past, no future, no list of goals, no measurements of distance. Just this, a small snail, a vast sky, and the soft, undeniable truth that they are touching. When he finally opens his eyes again, his voice is different. Not louder, not deeper, just clearer. "I thought I needed to reach them," he says softly. "But they were reaching for me too, all along." You feel something loosen in your chest, a knot you didn't know you were carrying. He continues, the words slow and careful, as if each one is being chosen with affection. "I'm still small, I'm still slow, but that doesn't make me any less a part of the sky." The starlight around his shell flickers gently, then settles into a steady glow. The thread of light that touched him begins to disperse, not retreating, but expanding. dissolving into the air around you, into the cloud beneath you, into the long path behind you. It doesn't leave. It just spreads. Orin looks up again. "I wanted to touch the stars," he says, "but I think what I really wanted was to feel like I belonged with them." He looks at you, glow warm and steady. And I do. You stand together on the platform of light, a tiny snail and a quiet traveler, wrapped in the soft certainty that reaching isn't always about distance. Sometimes it's about recognition. Sometimes it's about realizing that the stars you chased were quietly shining inside you the whole time. The platform of starlight remains warm beneath your feet for a long time. Not hot, not bright. Just warm enough to feel like a place where important things settle. Orin's shell still glows faintly from the touch of the star, its light swirling through the grooves like a slow-moving galaxy. Eventually, the platform begins to dim, not in warning, but in invitation, a suggestion that the moment has held itself long enough, and now it's time to carry the glow onward. Orin nods to himself, as though acknowledging something quiet and internal. "I'm ready," he whispers. The cloud pathway behind you shifts, thicker, lower, more solid, forming a soft slope downward. Not a path back the way you came, but a new descent, gentle and glowing with a subtle internal light. You take the first step. The cloud compresses just slightly, like memory foam in the shape of sky. Your foot sinks an inch, then rises easily as you shift forward. Orin glides beside you, the mist curling around him as though wanting to stay close. Every few steps, the cloud releases a soft puff of cool air, like a long exhale from a sleeping giant. The world around you feels quieter now, not the hush of the meadow, not the silence of deep night. This quiet feels fulfilled, like the story itself is taking a slow breath after a long, gentle climb. As you walk, the stars above soften their brightness, settling into calm, shimmering instead of focused beams. The constellations feel less distant, not because you're physically closer, but because the sky no longer feels like something above you. It feels like something around you. Orin turns his head slightly, watching the clouds beneath your feet curl backward in soft spirals. "The path isn't rushing us," he says. And he's right. The descent encourages slowness. Every step a cushion, every shift a gentle cutaway of tension. The mist seems to cradle you both, holding the pace steady and kind. After a while, faint shapes begin to appear below the cloud layer. Not shadows, silhouettes of all the places you've been. The whispering hill, the night blossom garden, the valley of soft echoes, the lantern path, the Star Watcher's arch, the feather fields. But they don't look far away. They look connected, as if the entire world rearranged itself into a single, patient story. Orin watches the silhouettes drift beneath you. "It doesn't feel like a journey with separate parts," he says. "It feels like one long breath." And it does. The cloud layer thins gradually as you continue downward. The air grows warmer, softer, denser with the scent of grass and night flowers. The glowing mist fades into faint wisps trailing behind you, like the remnants of a dream you'll remember tomorrow. At one point, the slope levels out, forming a long, glowing platform of cloud that feels almost like a balcony hanging between sky and earth. You pause there for a moment. Orin's glow is steady now, not bright, not flickering, just steady, like a candle with no wind left to test it. He looks at you. "I thought reaching the stars would change me," he says slowly, "but I feel exactly like myself, just softer." You sit beside him on the cloud's edge. The air is warm, the breeze is slow, The world below seems patient. That's what real change feels like, you say. More like remembering than becoming. Orin thinks about this. His shell pulses faintly. Then he says, I want to keep going, not because I need to touch anything else, but because walking feels good. And with that simple truth, the journey continues downward as the clouds open gently into the world below. The cloud melts into the air beneath your feet until finally your foot finds earth again, soft, warm, and comforting. A meadow stretches before you, but this one feels different from all the others you've crossed. The field of returning light. You don't know how you know the name, but you do. The grass here is short and luminous, glowing with thousands of tiny dots of gentle brightness, not like fireflies, not like lanterns, more like memories that learned how to shine. Each blade of grass holds a tiny bead of light at its tip. Warm golds, soft whites, faint blues, muted violets. As the breeze moves, the lights sway, creating a slow-moving ocean of scattered glow. Orin steps forward, and the lights nearest him brighten slightly, not spotlighting him, but greeting him with the warmth of familiarity. It feels like it knows us, he says, voice filled with childlike awe. You walk deeper into the field. Your steps cause gentle ripples of brightness, each light responding with a soft swell when you pass. The air smells like warm wheat and faint vanilla, a scent that feels like home. Not a physical home, but a feeling of belonging. Orin pauses near a cluster of glowing stems. Look, he says, leaning closer. Inside one of the glowing beads is a tiny, shimmering reflection. A memory. A moment from earlier in the journey. Orin's first step into the firefly field. The golden shimmer on his shell. The quiet smile he didn't know he made. He stares at it, stunned. They kept it. He moves to another bead. It contains a faint image of him resting beneath the sleeping oak. Another holds the glow from the night blossoms wrapped around his little body. Another shows the lantern spiral above him. And then he finds one that makes him freeze. It shows him at the hill of quiet resolve. When he questioned himself, when he doubted, when he admitted his fear of never touching the stars. But the memory doesn't feel sharp or painful. The field holds it gently, glowing around the edges. I didn't think that moment was beautiful, Orin whispers. You touch the glowing bead. It was, you say softly, because it was honest. Orin moves slowly through the field, looking at each light as if seeing his story told back to him by someone who loved every part of it. Not the highlights only, not the victories, everything. Even the quiet pauses, the tired breaths, the uncertain steps, all of it glowing softly. Eventually, Orin finds a bead brighter than the rest, glowing with deep gold and faint silver. Inside it is the moment the star touched his shell. Orin stares at it for a long, long time. I didn't know it looked like that, he whispers. And it's true. Memories always feel different from the inside. Heavier, more emotional, more complicated. But here, the moment is shown through light, without judgment, without fear. It looks simple. It looks true. It looks like a meeting that was always meant to happen. Orin turns to you. I think this field is saying something. What's that? You ask softly. He looks around, at the glowing memories, at the slow lights, at the quiet night holding everything in place. That I didn't make this journey alone. And for the first time, his glow brightens from the inside. Warm, grateful, steady. You walk together through the field until the lights gradually thin, blending naturally back into darker grass. Behind you, the field glows like a living constellation, the story of your shared journey, written in soft, gentle dots of light. Ahead, a soft path opens once more. The night is ready for the final stretch. Beyond the field of returning light, the path narrows into a soft earth trail lined with low, glowing stones. These stones don't shine brightly. Their light is warm and sleepy, like candles at the end of a long evening. A warm breeze drifts through the air, different from any you've felt before. This breeze feels familiar, comforting, like someone gently placing a hand on your back and whispering, "You can rest now." Orin breathes deeply, letting the warmth drift over him. The breeze ruffles the edges of his shell's glow, softening the bright star gift into a warm, steady shimmer. "I know this feeling," he says. "I felt it once when I first looked at the stars, before I ever started walking." You nod. "It's the feeling that makes you start," you say, "and the one that welcomes you home." The path curves gently, leading you through low hills and quiet clusters of moonlit shrubs. Nothing here is dramatic. Nothing here demands attention. This part of the journey exists simply to ease you back into yourself. The air hums faintly, not a literal sound, more like a sense, a vibration that sits comfortably beneath your ribs. You and Orin walk in silence for a while. Not empty silence, comfortable silence. A silence filled with understanding rather than words. Eventually, Orin speaks. "I used to think touching the stars would make me different." He pauses. "But now I think everything that happened on the way made me who I am." You nod, letting his insight settle gently into the space around you. "The stars didn't change you," you say. "You changed on the way to them." Orin smiles, a tiny, soft expression that warms the air around him. "I didn't expect the journey home to feel important too," he says. You look around. The hills roll gently, like waves made of earth. The warm breeze carries hints of night blossoms, river scent, oak wood hum, feather-soft air. Little echoes of everywhere you've been, all threads returning to weave the night together. "This part matters," you say. "It's where you understand everything. Where your body catches up to what your heart learned." Orin glides a little closer to you. "Do journeys always end like this?" he asks. "No," you answer quietly. "Only the ones that change you." The breeze grows warmer, guiding you forward. It seems to light the way, not with brightness but with comfort. Ahead, the path grows softer, blending into familiar shapes. Far in the distance, you can see the faint outline of the original meadow, Orin's home, shimmering gently in the moonlight. Orin sees it too. He doesn't rush, he doesn't freeze, he simply breathes. And his glow softens again, becoming not the glow of effort or longing or becoming, but the glow of arrival. The homeward breeze moves through the grass, through your hair, through Orin's shell, gathering all the quiet pieces of the night and tucking them gently around. You walk the final stretch slowly, not because you must, but because it feels right, because the night has taught you both how to walk this way, softly, steadily, with presence, with peace. When the meadow finally opens before you, the breeze gives one last warm push, affectionate, almost proud, then fades into stillness. Orin looks up at you. "I'm home," he says, but there's something else in his voice, something that says, "And I'm different now, and that's okay." You walk together into the soft glow of the meadow, carrying everything the journey gave you. Light, calm, truth, patience, all the way to the final pages of night. The meadow unfolds gently in front of you, familiar yet transformed by the long journey that led you here. The grass is soft and shimmering with dew, reflecting hints of starlight that seem to echo the glow still lingering on Orin's shell. Nothing rushes here. Not the wind, not the night, not your steps. Everything exists in a calm, natural rhythm, a slow, deep breath that the world takes alongside you. Orin glides a little ahead, pausing at a patch of clover that he remembers. You can see it on his face. That quiet recognition. "This is where I first told myself I wanted to reach them," he says softly. He looks up at the sky. It's the same sky he has always known, yet somehow different. Not because it changed, but because he did. "I used to think the stars were far away because I was small," he whispers. "But now, I think they were only waiting for me to see myself clearly." The night hums in agreement, a soft vibration moving across the meadow like a gentle lullaby. The breeze picks up, brushing through the grass with warm fingers, stirring little waves of silver, as if tucking the earth in for sleep. You sit beside Orin on a smooth rock, warmed by the memory of daytime sun. The stone holds the perfect temperature. Not hot, not cold, but soothing, in a way that resonates all the way through muscle and bone. The air around you thickens with that late-night stillness that only appears when the world knows morning is somewhere far away, but not yet ready to arrive. Orin leans slightly into your side. A small gesture, almost imperceptible, but full of meaning. "I didn't realize," he says, "that wanting something slowly can still make it real." You look at him, tiny, glowing, resolute. "You moved at your pace," you say, "and your pace was enough." He absorbs the words like warmth sinking into his shell. The stars above flicker quietly, patient as ever. Somewhere far off, an owl calls, soft, rhythmic, unhurried, as if offering a final note to the journey's melody. The meadow cradles you both. The grass sways like it remembers how you walked through it before. The night smells like calm earth and distant blossoms, and the sky spreads open wide with every emotion that words can't hold. Orin gazes upward, his voice barely a whisper. "I thought the journey would end when I touched the stars," he says, "but now it feels like the stars touched me back." And that truth settles deep inside the quiet. You lie back in the grass, the world turning into a soft bowl of shimmering silver and midnight blue. The ground supports your weight like a gentle hand. Your breath slows. Orin settles beside you, his glow dimming into a peaceful, steady pulse. "Do you think I'll keep glowing forever?" he asks. "No," you answer softly. "Not brightly, not always, but the light inside you, the one the journey made, that stays." He thinks about that, and you can almost feel his understanding blooming like a night flower, opening petal by petal. The stars above shimmer in slow waves, not demanding your attention, just shining, as they always have. But tonight, they feel closer. Not because you rose to meet them, but because you learned to let them meet you. The wind moves gently through the meadow, rocking the blades of grass like waves in a silver sea. Everything is soft. Everything is ease. The world doesn't need anything from you now. Not thought, not effort, not even movement, just presence. A quiet feeling settles over your body, the kind that only arrives after a long, meaningful journey taken at the right pace. You close your eyes. Orin nestles closer, and the night, finally, wraps itself around you like a blanket made from soft stars and warm breath. You feel your thoughts drifting, slower, softer, quieter, until the story becomes less something you're listening to, and more something you're resting inside. The journey is complete. but its peace continues. And the night stays with you. The meadow lies still around you, embracing your body with its cool softness. The stars hover in their quiet places, shining with no urgency, no demand, no expectation. You breathe in deeply, a slow inhale that fills your chest with the gentle weight of night, and then exhale, letting everything soften. Orin rests beside you, his glow now a calm, steady warmth. You can feel the peaceful heaviness settling into your limbs, loosening the last bits of tension, inviting your muscles to let go, completely and without hesitation. The world feels safe. Your body feels supported. Your thoughts drift like feathers in warm air. You've walked, slowly, patiently, through fields and forests, through clouds and moonlight, through moments of doubt and clarity alike. And now you have arrived in a place that doesn't ask you for anything except rest. The stars above shimmer gently, almost dimming themselves for your comfort. The breeze moves like a soft hand smoothing a blanket. The night hums its final lullaby. There is nothing left to do, nothing to reach for, nothing to fix or change or chase. You are exactly where you're meant to be. A long journey has brought you here, and now the world gives you permission to fall asleep. Let the softness of the night surround you. Let the warmth settle. Let your breath deepen into that slow rhythm your body has been craving. You've earned this rest. You deserve this peace. And as your mind drifts into the quiet, between waking and dreaming, let the last traces of the story settle gently into your heart. A reminder that slow journeys lead to beautiful places, and that even the smallest travelers can touch the stars in their own way. The night is ready to hold you now. Sleep well, rest deeply, and drift peacefully into dreams. Thank you for listening to Mindtales Sleep Stories. If you enjoyed this story, please consider giving it a thumbs up, subscribing, and sharing it with someone who needs a peaceful night.